The legendary Thompson submachine gun was born out of a need to develop a trench broom that could sweep the enemy out of his trenches and disrupt the stalemated circumstances that had developed on the Western Front during the First World War. General John T. Thompson established the Auto Ordnance Corporation in August 1916 to create just such a weapon. But the gun that finally emerged from the design development process was too late for World War I. With the Armistice of November 11, 1918, and the Versailles Treaty that followed 7 months later, the U.S. Army no longer needed a trench broom. But the Thompson submachine gun went into production nevertheless. In 1920, Auto Ordnance entered into a contract with the Colt Patent Firearms Manufacturing Company of Hartford, Connecticut, to produce 15,000 units. Those Thompsons were initially marketed to law enforcement agencies and civilians, but after 5 years, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service bought about 200 guns, which were then loaned to the U.S. Marine Corps. That led the U.S. Navy to conduct a formal test and evaluation of the weapon, which in turn paved the way for the official adoption of a slightly modified version of the gun in 1928. The U.S. Army finally standardized the Thompson under the designation M1928A1 in September 1938. But the 15,000 guns that Colt produced for auto ordnance back in the early 1920s were just about gone by the late 1930s, so the weapon eventually went back into production in February 1941. This particular M1928A1 was made for auto ordnance during that time period by Savage Arms Company in Utica, New York. Since the bulk of the M1928A1 Thompsons produced in 41 and 42 were Lend-Lease guns meant mostly for the United Kingdom, the word caliber on the left side of the receiver was roll-stamped using the traditional English spelling. The markings on the right side of the receiver include Auto Ordnance, Bridgeport, Connecticut, along with a list of the 13 numbers relating to the design's patent protection. It has all the features typical to the M1928A1, like the patented cuts compensator, the patented Lyman adjustable rear sight assembly with graduations out to 625 yards, the horizontal wood foregrip distinctive to the wartime Thompson submachine guns, and of course, heat dissipating cooling fins on the barrel. Like the Thompsons that came before it, the M1928A1 has a removable buttstock, and it can accept stick magazines as well as 50 and 100 round drums. Since it came before the simplified M1 Thompson, the 28A1 uses a friction-delayed blowback action that's based on the metallic adhesion principle. As that's the case, the bolt still features the patented bronze Blish lock that had, by then, been a part of the Thompson submachine gun's design for nearly a quarter century. Savage production of the M1928A1 obviously made a significant difference to wartime Thompson production because, by February 1942, more than 500,000 had been made. Soon, production would transition to the simplified direct blowback M1 Thompson, which was the brainchild of engineers at Savage, by the way. But still, the 28A1 fought every campaign in every theater of operations of the Second World War. It armed every branch of the U.S. military, as well as the Allied nations who fought with us toward the destruction of fascist totalitarianism. The M1928A1 served the Allied cause on Guadalcanal, New Georgia, New Guinea, and New Britain. From the eastern dorsal of the Atlas Mountains in Tunisia to the 82nd Airborne Division's drop zones in Normandy. From the rugged coral badlands of Peleliu to the sands of Iwo Jima, and then on to the last battle on Okinawa. The M1928A1 Thompson was one of the most prolific combat weapons of the Second World War. It was even a favorite of Winston Churchill. Recently, this especially nice example made its way to Collector's Firearms in Houston, the best damn gun shop in the world.